Okay, we're just gonna jump right into it. We are just going to just go whole hog into this thing. It's been 3 years, folks. It's been 3 years. I'm a little rusty, getting back into the groove of things. And right now, we're just gonna take it easy. We're gonna take it one little thing at a time. But as always, I got something to say, and it's, as we have already cleared out, been 3 years. I don't even know what I'm going to call this thing yet, but there's some things on my mind that just need to be taken off my chest. It's been a stressful month, let alone past 3 years of things I need to get off my chest. So without any further ado, here we go. Item number one. As you can see, the meme is the meme. It is an accurate meme. The right holding Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk thing did happen. It was it was a tragedy. There's no other word for it. It's a fracking tragedy. And to be perfectly honest, it shouldn't have happened. We all know it shouldn't have happened, but we all know what happened right after it happened. We all know we're already here. We all know that right after this happened, the left doubled down, said he deserved it, said he all this wonderful, all the good things. His wife needs to go, his kids need to go. He got what he deserved, so on and so forth. And then something beautiful happened. We all united. You see this post by Blair White. They don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they can kill you. And that was just the start. Charlie was killed on the when was he off? He it was sometime earlier that month, and it hit everyone hard. But soon right after, um, the right pretty much said we've had enough, and they started going to war. Antifa's now a terrorist organization. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. But everyone seemed to get on message, which was essentially, we're not taking the crap anymore. We understand where it's coming from. We understand that the stochastic terrorism coming from their side is not going to end, and we're not going to stop. And you might think, well, okay, good. The Christian right is unified. This is a step in the right direction. We are going to keep going. We're just going to keep kicking ass and taking names, and nothing will ever go wrong from here on out. And you think that in complete unity and bliss, we would just be able to take on the left from here on out, right? Hold that thought. No, seriously, hold it, because we have some tragic news that came on a couple days, about 2 weeks later. Um, Russell M. Nelson, this is a tweet from the president, by the way. Russell M. Nelson, the president and prophet of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, passed away last night at the age of 101. He just had his birthday earlier this week. Russell was sharp and engaged in service up until the end. That is true, by the way. Our hearts and prayers are with his incredible wife, Wendy, his 10 children, 57 grandchildren, based, and more than 167 great grandchildren, super based, as well as members of the church all over our country. Russell had a remarkable life, pioneering life-saving heart surgery techniques. Also true, he pretty much invented the quadruple bypass, just FYI. And of course, his ministry of many decades. He was a physician, literally and spiritually, and will be greatly missed. That was very touching, Mr. President. I greatly appreciate the heartfelt condolences. And then, on the same day, the president had to tweet out this post on Truth Socials that says, I have been briefed on the horrendous shooting that took place at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. The FBI was immediately on the scene and will be leading the federal investigation and providing full support to state and local officials. The suspect is dead, but there's a lot to learn. This appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians. We'll get back to that one. In the United States of America, the Trump administration will keep the public posted, as we always do. In the meantime, pray for the victims and their families. This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately. Now, Oh. This is what the church looked like. I want you to take a really, really good look at this. I mean, really let that rest into your noggin. I knew from the start. I knew from the absolute start of this media blitz that this was not a leftist. This was not a liberal. This wasn't a this wasn't someone on their off their hormones, losing their mind, going through a secondary delayed puberty bullshit. No, no. The kind of destruction you see in front of you is right-wing violence. Make no mistake. I called it when I first had any inkling of the kind of terrorism that was unleashed at this time. There are, I believe, five or four people dead. There were at least 10 people shot. And then the shooter had the wherewithal to get accelerant and gasoline and had brought IEDs to do exactly the kind of damage he wanted to do. We're not going to talk about his name. We're not going to show his face. I just want you to look at this, and I want you to realize that this damage did not come from the left. This is not the same team that tagged Charlie. I need you to understand that. Left-wing violence does not look that thorough. It doesn't look that good. It came from out of nowhere. They weren't following him. He wasn't someone that you're going to be like, oh yeah, he was on our radar. That's not going to happen with this guy, because this is what right-wing violence looks like: undetectable and unstoppable, and they achieve the objective. This damage right here was the objective. I need you to understand that, because there are a lot of people who didn't get this memo, and a lot of people who were confounded, shocked, confused, hurt, that how could their own side do this? Why was such friendly fire even possible among the right? That's a very good question. It's a question we're going to be talking about in a little bit, because right up next is, well, how my community chose to respond to this terrorist attack. This is a post by the Metatron, who is sharing a post from Fox News that this is beautiful to see. The explicitive kills LDS members at church, including children. And the same LDS members, first thing they do is thinking about the wife and children of the shooter who lost their deranged husband slash father. I said fodder. I apologize. That was a Freudian slip. Father, not fodder. And raise a huge amount of money so they can be taken care of, effectively doing what he should have done instead, taking care of his family, take care of his family. Even at a time like this, I'm pedantic though. The picture, you can, the picture has a cross in it. If just so you guys know, culturally Mormons are not fond of the cross. We find it a little macabre to put a cross in our meeting houses, because to us Christ is not simply an idea. He's not a philosophy. He's not a symbol. He's a person. He was a living person, a living personal savior. And to us, it is very macabre to put the instrument of his death and celebrate it instead of him. That's a cultural thing that we have about the cross. So when you see this picture down below with the cross, we all know that's not a Latter-day Saint building at all. J- just just so you know, and he points out correctly, you'll only find pictures of Jesus alive. So, regardless, and this figure, 140, is incorrect. I believe we've raised over $250,000 for this family. The family of the shooter, and it's because, as awful as uh, this act was to us, we realized that he left behind a child who had um, a genetic handicap disorder, and that this man had essentially doomed this child uh, to ruin. He had doomed his family to ruin, and it was there was no reason not to be merciful to this family, and so that's how we responded to it. But I need to bring something to the fore. Right before this tragedy, this, right before this awful occurrence, right before that horrific state of being, um, there was as I said, we on the right rallied. We rallied and we came to, and we had decided on a few couple things. We had decided that the words of violence on the left meant something. We decided that we weren't going to take terms like fascist or Nazi lying down anymore. They are words of stochastic terrorism. And this happened to my community, to my tribe. So what inspired this? It wasn't just personal. I'm sorry if you thought that was the case, but it really isn't. It wasn't just personal. That this man had an ideology. This man, the person who did this, had an idea. And the man encountered, and this is the video of a man who, I'm not going to play it. You can find it on other clips. But essentially, this is a politician who's running for a councilman position. And essentially, they had a very pleasant conversation, to be honest. He didn't have a conversation about, um, how, he was fine. He was talking about the weather, talking about his kid. But as soon as the ice was broken in the conversation with the man who would become the shooter, he immediately began to switch his conversation to the Latter-day Saints, to the Mormons. Mormons are the Antichrist. If you find other posts about the victims' interactions with the shooter, he would go around asking them if they believed in Jesus or in Joseph Smith before shooting at them, and shooting them if they didn't answer soon enough. Now, I'd like you to know that from a Latter-day perspective, that's as retarded as asking, do you believe in Jesus or in Moses? That's an equally perplexing question. I just need you to give you all some perspective here. It's an equally perplexing question. This guy had an ideology. And it's an ideology that we don't really talk about, that we don't make public, that we don't make a big fuss about, because we just assume that the crazies are going to be crazies and that people will do the right thing. And you know who also did the right thing when it came to this kind of thing? Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, right before he was shot, had said, before the previous question, had said, I think it's time for you Mormons. You got to get your mojo back. We need the strong Mormon church back in this country. I love how the Mormons send missionaries around the world. I love how polite you are. Half my team is Mormon. He said that on the day that he was assassinated. Charlie understood the score. Charlie understands. Mormons are allies. Charlie understood that you don't You don't punish your friends. Well, apparently, um, Charlie is pretty much the only one who thought those things. Because almost immediately, the same day, almost the same day, you had this. We're just going to click on here to the main post. On the day that Charlie was assassinated, Pastor Mark Driscoll said the assassin was a Mormon. Keon was. He had actually left the church and then became radicalized. So, no, he was not a part of our church. And in fact, if you know anything about Mormons and ex-Mormons, our ex-Mormons they are the worst. They're the absolute worst people that you can ever come across. He continues, this is not the same as Christianity. This is a demonic cult. Sounding familiar? Mormonism's Jesus is no closer to the Christ of the Bible than Islam's Jesus is. Wow, holy shit. He then tops this off. There will be 0 Mormons in heaven. It is a demonic cult, a literal demon on the top of every Mormon building. The angel Moroni is being called a demon. Now, as I said, and this continued on. As I said, examples needed to be made. This is from Calvin Robinson, who starts off that what happened down the road in Michigan yesterday was awful. No one should be killed in their places of worship. It is abhorrent. And that's where I put a big red line saying, this is where you should have stopped. But he doesn't. He goes on and he says, but for Mormons to be using this tragedy in an attempt to force Christians to acknowledge them as one of us is sickening. I'd like to correct the record right now as to who was convincing who. Sir, the President of the United States came out and called us Christians. We weren't the ones jumping down your throat. We were already on your team. We were already on the side of Charlie Kirk, filling half of his team, fighting the good fight, doing the right things, even going so far as to loving and forgiving our enemies and raising dollary dues for the family who shot us up because the wife and children don't deserve to be burdened with his stupidity. We do not need your approval as to whether or not we're Christians. We will let the evidence speak for itself, thank you. But as before, when we had this wonderful take, they don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you Nazi so they can kill you. That was well understood. But for some odd reason, people didn't understand the self-reflection. Now I'm going to read out the meme in case some of y'all are just listening. It's bad to murder Charlie Kirk, but he was a racist and a fascist. And holding up, it's bad to kill Mormons, but they're a demonic cult. Corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture and this picture. It's the same freaking picture. And no Latter-day Saint should take any excuses otherwise. This is not okay. But just in case if you're curious as to why any of this is going down, um, the grifters are gonna grift, and as soon as um Mark Driscoll was you know what's disgusting about very disgusting about this is Erica Kirk had that scumbag Mark Driscoll on the Charlie Kirk show the day after he had posted those horrible things about my faith. Did is that what Charlie would have done? I'm genuinely curious if that's what Charlie would have done. I don't. I have no idea. But this is by far the most accurate take because right after this whole debacle, um, Mark Driscoll decides to launch a book. his anti-Mormon book, which I'm not going to show, I'm not going to target, I'm not going to even show you what it looks like because I don't care. But he launched a book about with apologia about how Mormons are not actually Christian, so on and so forth, and you know, don't worry about the victims. You send me some of that money instead. I'm gonna make this about me. Forget the Mormon families. Forget about even the innocent victims in the family. No, no. You give some of that evangelized money to good old mainstream Christian bullshit. Put in the golden plate, sir. Oh my God! If I had another 10 minutes, if I wanted to go on anymore, I would tell you about the religious culture shock of going through mainstream America and seeing that golden plate being passed around. Oh my God, I find it disgusting. I find it vulgar. I find it crude. I find it to be antithetical to everything Jesus stood for. When I see that plate being passed around, it makes my skin crawl even thinking about it. So that's the kind of time we've been having. That's that's really what's been on my mind lately. The absolute and utter betrayal that has been wrought upon from uh, evangelical Christianity. I think Driscoll's some Baptist of some variety. I don't even know. I don't even care. Honestly, I think it's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous that for all of the love and the dedication that my faith and my people put into the good fight. Oh, that's something I did want to share with y'all, and let me see if I can find it. This was actually something that happened almost the day after. Oh my goodness, did I lose that? I'll find it again. But pretty much the day after, um, here we go. Here, let me show this to you. So, the day, I think it was the day he died, the day that President Nelson died, one of the last things that happened was the Church of Jesus Christ is taking a legal stand against transgender as a protected class, stating that it would infringe on religious freedom. And this is a writ to the Supreme Court. And by the way, the new prophet, the man who will take the mantle the prophetic mantle of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is a man named Dallin H. Oaks. And he was, in his day, on the short list of Supreme Court nominees before he accepted being an apostle. So this case was probably hand edited by our current prophet. You are witnessing a document that was hand edited by the man who will soon be the prophet of the next Latter-day Saint Church. And it's a brief of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in conjunction with the National Association of Evangelicals, those attacking us currently, Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention, they're also attacking us, by the way, Coalition for Jewish Values, and Jewish Coalition for Religious Liberty as amici curiae supporting petitioners. Assume that the Jewish people are not, Jewish organizations are not the ones currently running the Israeli government. I'm just saying. So, amici curiae for the Supreme Court of the United States, which will probably be copiously cited by Justice um, Thomas, because I'm pretty sure he and President Oaks are going to have many long conversations about this. As I said, Dallin H. Oaks was on the short list of becoming a Supreme Court justice. That's going to be our next prophet. And the day that um, President Nelson passed, this was submitted to the Supreme Court. what are you doing? I just have to ask, what is it exactly that the right wing thinks that they're doing? This is stupid. Attacking us, calling us demons, continuing in the unironic, stochastic terrorism rhetoric that the shooter himself was obviously possessed by. And you are keeping that flame alive. In spite of all evidence to the contrary, that we are everything you say we are. We are clearly not demonic. We are clearly not antichrist. We are clearly living the examples of a Christian life. We are giving the example of everything that Christ taught during his ministry, and we are doing it in spades. This is ridiculous. This has been nothing but a week and a half long of nothing but betrayal from our allies on the right. And I would like some fucking blood, thank you. That's honestly how I feel about that. See y'all in the comments. Bye bye.